Bolito non bolito leaves you speechless. The cubes melt in your mouth like anxiety after a first kiss, bursting with waves of intense flavor, meaty, fatty, and sumptuous, yet buffeted by the light herbaceous foam and the gelatin. 2 orders of bolito non bolito for table 8 were ready in the kitchen. I carefully adjusted my plate until it matched Pino's, watching for his approval. I followed him out of the kitchen, matching his movements and taking care to protect the delicate dish. What was I, a Harvard Business School professor, doing in the heart of Italy's Emilia-Romagna, serving food in one of the world's top restaurants? I was as surprised as anyone to have ended up there. But I had written 2 Harvard Business School case studies of fast food chains, and I decided that it would be interesting to see how restaurants work at the other end of the spectrum. I contacted Bottura, and he told me that to understand his business, I would have to spend a full day in the kitchen and another in the dining room. No problem, I told him. On-site visits are a typical part of HBS case studies. Plus, being a native Italian, I always take any excuse I can to visit Italy. I showed up early on the morning of my first day. As I entered one of the restaurant's 3 dining rooms, I saw a tall man chatting with the staff. Giuseppe Palmieri, the restaurant's longtime maitre d', called Il Direttore at the Osteria, and sommelier. Seeing a new face, he welcomed me with a smile. Everyone calls him Beppe. Beppe introduced me to Pino, who was apparently going to try to keep me out of trouble. Just a few minutes later, I was polishing dishes and glasses with Pino. Next, we took care of the silverware, and then the mise en place, getting the tables ready. A few other activities followed, including checking that there were flowers in all the appropriate places and helping to set the table for the staff meal. As we prepared for our first customers at noon, it dawned on me that Bottura planned to have me do everything, including serve customers during my time there. I had worked in various low-key restaurants in Italy and the UK when I was younger, but Bottura did not know this. Putting a novice out in the dining room of a top restaurant, my hands trembling as I placed dishes on the table, seemed a rather odd move, and not one I imagine other owners of fancy restaurants would make. It was classic Bottura. Many of Bottura's management decisions can seem impulsive. In 2005, 2 head chefs had joined l'Osteria Francescana. Kondo Takahiko, known as Taka, had lunch as a customer, and not long after was cooking in the kitchen. Davide Di Fabio had just started the process of sending out applications when he received a phone call from Bottura offering him a job without even an interview. Bottura first met Beppe while he was working at a big 2 Michelin star restaurant close to Bologna, a place where Bottura and his wife used to dine. On his way home from dinner, the first night they met, Bottura called Beppe with a job offer. Many of Bottura's hires happened this way, fast, almost as if by accident. The second youngest of 5 children, Bottura grew up in Modena, not far from Osteria Francescana. His mother spent most of the day cooking, alongside her own mother, to feed the children, her husband, a sister-in-law, and a brother-in-law who were living with them, and everybody's friends. As a 5-year-old boy, Bottura often watched his mother and grandmother cook, curious about the rolling pins they used to make pasta and the interesting tortellini shapes. When his brothers got home from school, they would chase him around the kitchen, using any makeshift weapons they could find. Bottura would hide in his safe spot under the kitchen table, ready to eat the bits of pasta dough that ended up on the floor. Bottura didn't go to culinary school. His career as a chef was an act of defiance. He had gone to law school to please his father, but dropped out after 2 uninspiring years. In 1986, the Campazzo, a trattoria on the outskirts of Modena, came up for sale. The restaurant was falling apart, and Bottura, 23 at the time, had no restaurant experience. But he thought, why not? After all, he had done plenty of cooking. When he was still in high school, he and his friends would often find themselves back at Bottura's house after a late night of studying or partying, and he was always the one at the stove. He remembers taking a beach vacation near Salerno in southern Italy when he was 18. He would use a megaphone to call down to the water, asking what kind of